All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Relatively Uncharted. This is a very special episode for us. This is number 20, and we have a guest on here today. This is actually, we're all cousins here. So we've got 2 decades worth of familial connections, and our cousin Sean McBee. Welcome. You are our special guest today.
Yeah, good morning. Happy St. Patty's Day, boys.
Yes, sir.
That's,
Yeah,
It's our
that's right.
holiday.
that's what y'all didn't get your
The
St.
Gil-
Patty's Day in last night. You say
well,
what
I
for
mean, like
tonight?
I was saying, like the Gilmartin holiday, where it stems from, the Irish.
Yeah, the crazy Irish in us.
Even though I did that whole DNA testing thing, and we came out to be more Scottish than we were Irish.
Well, we're
Which
definitely more
who
Scottish
knows?
than Irish.
Yeah, from Mama apparently.
Yeah, her
Yeah.
grandma came over on the boat from Scotland.
Yeah,
Great Grandma
we all.
Scott.
My
Yeah,
dad always thought that Pop Up had some weird line to Ireland.
I think he had a little bit of a mix because unfortunately, he was always unsure. Like he didn't know his whole deal just because of
Yeah,
being raised
circumstances.
in an orphanage and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So I think, but
Yeah.
I know on grandma's side is Scottish all the way
Scottish. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. That's kind of wild because I mean that's kind of it shows the times. A lot of people, you know, were born and either adopted, grew up in an orphanage. Now we have somewhat different structures in society that maybe I'm totally butchering this, but like it seems like there's I'm not a doctor, don't quote me, but I don't know. It seems like there's just parents stick to 1 to 2 kids in the family rather than There's also contraceptives and birth control, so it prevents you know
There's
yeah
measures
a
you can
lot.
take nowadays that weren't available back then.
Yeah, yeah. Good old pull out method just doesn't do it anymore. But yeah. So like I guess point is on my other side of the family, I have, and we're talking about DNA and heritage. Uh, my grandma, she was born and grew up in a separate family, and ultimately grew up with her two step parents, and so they were Scottish, and that's what she was raised as. But what was her actual heritage? It's hard to say if you unless you trace it back. So
Yeah, I guess you'd have to do one of those tests. I've never done one.
yeah.
I'm scared.
Yeah, I
My
don't
mom,
know.
my mom did it first, and so then she was like, "You should do it." So then I did it, and oh gosh, Mama's brother. I can't think of.
Uncle Robert.
Yeah, he had done it, and he had like all these connections he had found out, and he had a lot of history, I guess, like because like over time things reveal themselves when more people get on there, or they find more documents, or whatever it might be that can like prove like where you're from or like where you lived at certain points in your life and stuff like that. So I guess he's been on this trail for a long time, and I got on there, and he actually messaged me because I guess when I got on there, it answered some questions that they didn't like. There's like
Oh, really?
some, yeah, there's something to do with whenever I added my connection, uh, that Robert and Mama like they were trying to figure something out, and they found something out through not necessarily me, but what like my like the background of my like family, like figuring out my mom and my dad's like history. I guess helped them solve. I don't know what they're trying to figure out. I think it might have been the whole Scottish thing, but anyways, yeah. So there's a whole. If you go on, I think it's 23andMe or one of those, or Ancestry, whatever it is. There's a whole family tree that Robert's built that's like generations and generations of lineage from, I guess in quotes, the Gilmartin family, but it goes way way further than that.
Hmm. I should do
Yeah.
that. I'd like to know about that. It'd be interesting to
Yeah,
see.
I'll send you what the app I was, because there's a few of them, but you have to do it on the same one. That way you were able to like
Uh,
connect and compare. So I'll send you mine, and then
yeah,
we'll
send that
see
to
what
me.
you.
I'd like to check that out. That'd be cool. Something good to know.
Absolutely. Know your true heritage there.
Yeah, because I'm pretty
Um,
sure we're most, at least on my other side, also on the McBee side, we're also Scottish. So then grandma checked some stuff out when she went to Ireland. And apparently, we might have come from horse thieves. So Who knows?
Where's
Always
that?
been outlaws.
Yeah,
What is that exactly?
What's up?
horse
you?
thieves.
Yeah.
Horse
We're
thieves?
part of the Highlands.
Yeah, I don't know. Back in the day, I think I guess there was. I'd have to ask Grandma again to tell me about it, but I guess that was maybe part of the reason some of that family left Scotland, went somewhere else.
To be safe.
Yeah, so they didn't get hung for stealing horses.
Yeah, I'm sure they rode out in style on brand new horses though.
Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe Mamaw's side of the Scotland tree and your your grandma's side of the tree. Maybe they knew each other long ways down the road.
Who knows? It's possible because my dad's mom, my grandmother on that side of the family, she was also adopted, so she had no clue, what her, real family was. I guess, before
Yeah.
she died, and I never, took the time to find out from her. But
Right.
Yeah,
Big small world.
yeah.
who knows?
We'll probably talk about some of those things. So one of the, obviously one of the reasons why you're on here is, like we said, the 2 decades of generations here. Um, it's kind of like a generational podcast. We want to talk about the things that maybe happened when you were growing up that he probably had a Atari or something, like just some sort of thing of your generation that I didn't have and Ryan definitely missed, right? And then Ryan's here to tell us about Gen Z and TikTok and all that, but like I've got to watch and it works just fine, so I don't need something that goes TikTok, but yeah.
That's your generational joke right there.
Yeah. My joke was my generation's full of lame dad jokes, so I don't know what you guys had, but yeah, man. So we'll definitely talk about it. Part of it is we'd like to know your take on some of our family that stories that we missed, we didn't get a chance to observe, and maybe you could shed some light on how cool Crazy Pop Up was, and all that type of stuff. But the other thing we talk about is careers. So each guest obviously has their own career path and what they've done, and quite frankly, sadly, I don't know too much about you. I know that you worked construction back in the day for some parts, and you were a stay-at-home dad at some point. And but yeah, we'd like to dig into what you did and how that's
Well,
worked out for you. And
honestly, I'm still a little mix of in between.
yeah,
When I work, it's some form of construction. Doing something. And,
yeah,
whether it's from I do some things by myself here and there. I work with my buddies, help them out, and just kind of odds and ends. And then
Odd jobs.
yeah,
yeah, small stuff. And like I said, it just depends. On what's going on.
yeah,
And kids every day.
yeah, yeah. We'll
Got to
get into
maintain
that,
them
but
out.
yeah, we'll get into that. We want to. I was just kind of a little prefacing it of where we'll get to, and we definitely want to talk about you before, just so that the audience can learn about you and know why. One thing is you're the firstborn cousin in our generation's family, so you know you got 10 years ahead of me, 20 years ahead of Ryan, and that's where that comes in. But tell us about the 80s, man. What was it like?
Well, I mean, I was born in
Was there a flock
1980,
of seagulls?
so I don't
Yeah.
quite remember everything. I remember, the
Yeah.
80s. I remember neon colors. That's
Yeah.
that's like
Yeah.
when neon got big. Was
Really?
the
That
Really?
neon?
was the big time for it.
Oh yeah, that's when the first time it came around. It came back around, I guess, in the early 2000s or something, with like surf trunks and bathing suits and just all that. Like everything was just bright neon, and
Did you rock the neon?
as much as I could. I don't think my dad was too keen on me wearing hot pink, but I tried to pull it off.
You weren't
Where I
opposed to
could.
it.
Yeah. Uh,
But no,
yeah.
yeah, it's hard. I mean, obviously, I don't remember much of the '80s. I mean, a little bit, here and there.
Yeah. That's funny because it did come back around. Because I was thinking, my generation, like pink. Some people wore it, but like you were like a metrosexual if you were wearing pink. And then now Ryan's generation, it's like you flaunt it as brightly as possible as you can.
Oh yeah,
And
you gotta let them know you're there. Whatever
yeah,
catches
I think
somebody's
nowadays
eye.
though, I feel like nowadays though, like anybody wears like whatever they want. Like no, like I like no matter what you identify as or whatever you want to be, like people are wearing their colors.
Yeah, who cares? You
yeah,
know what I mean?
it's a very accepted era right now.
Yeah, and it should be when it comes to a lot of things. A lot of things it should be. There's it's a very different era right now. Things are very weird.
Yeah.
At
What's
least in
like?
my
I mean,
opinion.
like I know like we kind of glazed over. What's like a big difference that you noticed from like when you were like 15, 16 growing up, or I guess a little bit younger, but like when you were growing up, like as a kid or teenager, that like maybe like you're seeing like that you went through, and then like it's kind of different now, like seeing Nash and Maddie kind of be raised in like a different way. What is there
We
anything like that
played
sticks out to you?
outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We were always outside because that was what there was to do.
right.
Like there wasn't these video games, and there wasn't social media or just the stuff there is to do now. Like, and it's not to say like if I was their age, like I'd probably want to do that stuff too, because like Nash will play on the video game with his buddies, and he's like, got the headset on, they're talking to each other, and I'm like, man, that's kind of cool. Like it gets annoying, and I got to stop at some point. I get up and go do something else. It's enough video game,
Right.
but
Get outside.
yeah, it's just the technological advances. It's what I mean. Like I can remember when you had to get up off the couch and go turn the dial on the TV to change the channel or adjust the little metal rabbit ears. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Get
Like
that, pick
I
up
can
that
remember,
reception.
yeah, I can remember before remote controls. Like I remember before cordless phones. Like grandma's house, she had one. She had the phone on the thing, the rotary, so you had to spin it. You know what I mean? And the freaking, she had a cord that was like 30 feet long, so you could walk
You
damn
could
near
be
all the
anywhere in the
way through the
house.
house
Yeah.
just to be on the phone. You know what I mean? And when cordless phones came out, it was like, holy shit, this is a big deal. It's like it's like I can just push the button. I don't have to stand right here anymore. Like it was awesome.
Yeah.
I will say I get the concept of a rotary phone. You pick the number you want, go in order and spin it wherever it lands to hit the little chime. And
Yeah.
then but when I think I've used one twice. And I will say if I walk up to one right now, I will still be hesitant, like I don't know what to do with this. Like I don't want to look stupid in front of
You
all
probably
these
got to
other
push
old
the
people.
number up first before you get it right. It'll probably take you 2 or 3 times to get it right.
Yeah.
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 I definitely don't think I could walk up to one of those and be successful on the first try.
You probably don't even know how to use a payphone. Have you ever used a payphone? You ever put a quarter in the phone and dial the numbers
Yes,
to call somebody?
I've used a payphone before.
Yeah, maybe when you were like 10 or something.
Yeah, but like I've never like to your point, I've never relied on a payphone for sure. Like I did never like leave and be like, oh shit, like let me find a payphone. It's more for like fun to like fuck with my friends or something.
Yeah.
We used to always have to make sure you had a quarter or two.
Yeah, see, I never had that. I never had that worry.
Yeah, if you got dropped off somewhere, you had to make sure you had some change just in case you had to go use the payphone to call your parents
Yes.
to pick you up.
That's a great difference from generations. Because yeah, I mean, I've not to like I might sound privileged or whatever, just the way the times are nowadays. I've never had to leave my house and be like, okay, yeah, I got $1 in my pocket, ready to call somebody if I need to.
Like we used to have there used to be a payphone like outside of the school. Like if you missed the bus or you may have you had to stay late or something, like, so you could call your parents.
Yeah, I don't think I don't know how many schools you'd see a payphone at these days.
Shoot, I take pictures of a payphone when I actually see one. And most of them don't even work anymore. Actually, I saw one a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't take a picture because I was in a hurry. But it was an actual functioning payphone. I don't even know how much it costs. It probably costs $1 now, but who knows?
Yeah. You got a few quarters in your pockets now. But I think there was like I'm pretty sure they've removed as many of them as they can, but there was like some sort of regulation in New York City that they had to require a certain set of them somewhere because to Ryan's point before is to be able to not have to carry change around. We're in an era where we have our cell phones, and unless it dies, the battery dies, but you can pretty much call anyone at any moment.
Yeah.
I also have my credit card on my phone, so I don't carry cash change at all. But there are still certain demographics that are required that they just don't have the means to be able to carry a smartphone in their pocket and call someone or whatever, right? So they still need to be able to access a payphone, and I believe there's some sort of regulation that requires so many payphones in New York City.
I wonder if it's like a per square mile deal or something.
Yeah, possibly, or like near specific hubs. Like this train station that connects all the trains. You need it
Right.
right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. I guess that would make sense.
Yeah, and
Sean,
you see them
do you
around.
do you remember your first like the first style of cell phone you had?
Oh yeah, dude. It was like a little Nokia. It was push button. I mean, it was probably about 3 inches by like 1 inch. Like no
Was it
text
indestructible?
messaging, no video, no pictures, none of that. So you could call people and that was it.
That was all you needed it for?
Yeah. And then we got the
Yeah.
Nextels for a while, which
Oh,
the
the
Nextel.
walkie-talkie style.
Oh yeah, the Nextels were funny, buddy. Every redneck I knew had a Nextel, man, carrying them on their hip. You couldn't go anywhere without beep beep, beep beep, back, man. Let me hit you back. Yeah, man, yeah. Like, wow, it was pretty funny.
It's
But,
fun. Having walkie-talkies as a kid was pretty neat. Like, and there's certain areas where you don't have reception, so like in buildings, you require walkie-talkies to be able to communicate. And obviously, you pick up like the fire department and the police station signal sometimes. But yeah, walkie-talkies are the way of the dinosaur now.
Yeah,
yeah,
they randomly make appearances nowadays. Like if friend groups are going out and like the cell service isn't good, but they know they can get like I don't know walkie-talkie service, whatever that is. Like they'll bring them out just to be funny or honestly to keep communication. Like at a concert venue or something crazy like that, like a big area with a lot of people. I've definitely seen people that just like partially do it for fun and make it funny, but also like a decently
yeah. It's
reliable source
actually,
of.
yeah. I think it does both. I know my buddy when we went on a ski trip last year, he brought a set. And then
Yeah,
I didn't think about it. But he's like, yeah, it's like everybody's going to be all spread out this way, that way. It was like your phone's not going to work. It was like these walkie talkies will work within this range that we're in. You know what I mean? Obviously, like
right.
if you were miles away, it wouldn't work. But when separated by a few hundred yards, they were great.
There was always that myth whenever I had like my first set. It was like a really cheap set, like a toy set from Target, whatever you want to call it. But it was always like the idea of like Nick said, getting on that line and hearing like a police call or a fire department run or something like that. And obviously it never happened. Or like even just like talking to somebody randomly out in the world, just like is anybody out there? Like always pressing the button, seeing if there's anyone to talk to. But mine were like I said, they were like 50 feet distance, like stay in the house and use them.
Yeah. I've known guys that had those that could reach out, like talk to the other side of the world, like the CB radio with the antennas and stuff. Like I knew dudes like one guy that could talk to like Japan.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that's even possible, but that's what he said anyway.
Oh man, it's radio frequency. They send it out into outer space and try
Yeah.
and pick up signals out there. It's amazing the range that these things can pick up. It's just it's science, right? um, but that's funny. That's like, is this like someone who lives out in the boonies, like Central Florida, like out in the woods, like off the grid? Let me get my radio in case we got to go into.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had like one of the big radio towers, like a giant CB tower in his yard, like kind of thing. Like he was serious about it. Like it was,
Yeah,
I guess it wasn't. It was a little more than a hobby, I guess you'd say.
yeah.
But,
That's awesome though. Like everyone jokes like, where would you go in a zombie apocalypse? that dude's house.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't be a bad start.
He's
Yeah.
prepared.
Yeah. Man. Do you guys think you'd survive a zombie apocalypse?
Mhm.
Probably not zombies.
I think more and more I would not last very long the more I grow up and realize how like used to feel invincible, right? But like I stub my toe and I'm down for the count for the rest of the day these days.
Oh no.
That's
Getting old
getting
sucks.
old, bro.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
now getting into them 30s when you start hitting them 40s.
Yeah. It's over the hill at that point, right? So they
Almost.
say.
Man, you damn near the top of the hill, at least I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a quick fall.
Yeah. That's funny though. So let's get back to so you're down in Florida. Where are you? Where do you live right now?
New Smyrna Beach.
Beautiful New Smyrna Beach, and you're not too far from, you said it, Bike Week and spring break. Like, so again, talking about the 80s and 90s, like I remember like seeing, you see old videos and photos and hear about spring break. Like Daytona Beach used to be the spring break spot. Am I right?
Oh, yeah. I
People would
went.
drive their cars out there and park it on the beach.
Yeah, I went, and I wasn't supposed to be there. And I'm totally going to dime out, our Aunt Lori on this one. But
Shout out to Aunt Lori.
Shout
yeah,
out,
shout
Lord.
out to Aunt Lori. People don't believe me when I tell them this story. I'm like, no, I went to spring break in Daytona in the late 80s. Like, I saw the Beastie Boys on stage in Daytona Beach.
What?
Wow.
Yeah. Like I was there. Like my mom, she
Hell
knows
yeah.
now, but she wasn't supposed to know. Aunt Lori was supposed to be babysitting.
Yeah.
So that was babysitting back. I mean, shit, she was probably 19. So
Yeah.
it
Right.
was like, all right, get in the back of the car. We're going to the beach. We roll up in Daytona, and there's 3 lines of cars on the beach, thousands of freaking people everywhere. Like, I don't know, it was like 7, 8 years old, 9 years
Yeah.
old at most.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, because I don't know if you've ever watched that Netflix documentary. There's a Netflix documentary about Daytona Beach spring break, how wild it got, like why they had to shut it down, like, and people
Yeah.
still show up for it. It's nothing like a
Yeah.
real event, but then I mean that shit was wild. Like I can remember like watching the news, and I remember stories of kids dying because they were throwing frisbee from balcony to balcony, like from hotel to hotel, and jackass leans up too far over the rail, and down he goes.
Great.
Like
Yeah,
it was
that's
crazy.
insane.
Getting
But,
rowdy out there. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, that's like any good thing. It's like, word spreads, people show up. They're like, yeah, did you hear about this? It's awesome over there. Let's go. And then like more and more people start to show up. And then you get people who, even if they are there to behave, or at least just behave within the lines of somewhat normal regulations, but when then you get a rowdy group. But even when you just get too many people together, it's like all rules are just out the door. And like I'm sure person tossing a frisbee across to another balcony was just thinking like, yeah, this is harmless, what could go wrong? And
exactly.
then someone had one too many drinks,
Yeah,
right over the edge, right?
yeah.
And like that just
Unfortunately so. And it was also a different time. Like you didn't have the regulation. You know what I mean? Like it was at times were just a little bit looser.
yeah.
And things weren't as tight. Like they
Yeah.
probably didn't. They probably didn't have an adequate police force, to deal with the amount of people they had coming in, and it's just
Yeah.
a lot of things.
Yeah.
Makes me think of like, how Woodstock evolved to this just giant mess too sometimes.
Yeah, that's what I used to think back in the day that I would have wanted to go on to Woodstock, but the more I've read about it, actually, I think I've actually met 1 or 2 people that were at Woodstock.
Yeah.
And it's like, that was pretty much disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's no plumbing.
Well,
There's
yeah,
like,
there's nowhere to go to the bathroom. Apparently, it was raining the whole time, so it was muddier than hell. So you got a bunch of hippies running around with no bathrooms, no clothes.
They haven't shaved in weeks, anyways, like,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
showered.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm glad I missed that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's not much appeal on that one.
I actually knew a dude one time I worked with back in the day, and he was. I mean, he was older. Like, he's actually passed away now, but he. I think when he was 18, his uncle sent him to Woodstock with a briefcase full of counterfeit money, like $100,000 in counterfeit money. Said he was supposed to go to Woodstock, buy all the drugs he could buy, and bring them back to Florida so they could sell them. And this was my buddy's oldest brother, and he tells me he's like, yeah. Needless to say, we didn't see that dude for like 5 years.
Oh shit!
yeah,
He went to Woodstock and went on a trip, and they don't even know where he went. He
Yeah.
showed back up about 5 years later.
Did he have the drugs 5 years later?
He had
No.
counterfeit money. Yeah.
No. Not a
Oh man, talk about like regulations too. Like now, I mean, I guess it still happens, and the smart criminals get better and better at it. But like, I mean, I don't know what sort of means this person had, but like this was from Central Florida, right? Like, probably
Yeah.
didn't have the best tools for real counterfeit money, and like, if someone
Oh,
really looked
no,
at it today,
we're talking about in the 60s, but they also
yeah,
they didn't have the tools to, detect what was counterfeit, what wasn't back then. It wasn't,
yeah.
computer, barcodes,
He brought some
all the
Monopoly
stuff they
money.
have now. It was
Well,
some dude making it in his garage.
yeah.
And the
Right
thing
next
about
to
that, it was usually another criminal that the money was going to. So it was like, what are you gonna do?
So
Call the cops and be like, "Hey, I just sold this dude a bunch of illegal shit, but he gave me bad money." Like,
yeah, yeah. It's almost like a victimless crime. Yeah.
pretty much, I guess.
Yeah. I joke now that like with the amount of surveillance and regulations, like used to be able to get away with so much, but like nowadays you can't even get away with a fart anymore. So it's like, without someone knowing.
But certain places, man, like because you're still in New York, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're being watched all the time. You can't go anywhere. I'm sure you can't go anywhere in New York City without being watched.
No. Maybe it'd be fun to walk around and try and pretend to play like Jason Bourne and like, just dodge cameras or something. But again, this goes back to like realizing more and more I don't have the skill set for CIA or zombie apocalypse. So this list is going to grow before the end of this episode too.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the zombie apocalypse, I might be all right for a minute until my
You got enough
ammunition
guns?
ran out.
You got enough guns stocked up?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Depending how many zombies are coming.
That's what I think about is like the mass amounts of zombies that end up like in one single place. That's what I'm like, yeah, this isn't gonna work out.
Yeah.
Like if it's one or two, I could probably run away from them and find a way to dodge and weave them for a little bit. But a whole squad of them, I don't know.
Yeah, I ain't running from nothing. I'm shooting.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't tread on me.
I wasn't never fast, even in my best shape. So I damn sure ain't fast now. So
Yeah.
you'd probably catch me running backwards.
Yeah. Yeah. Add that to the list too. No longer an athlete.
I still have some athletic skills. I can do some things.
A few things.
I'm not the athlete I once thought I was.
Yeah. Well, that's the point. Is you thought you were great, right?
Yeah. Were you
We
ever
all
like
like to think how?
Well, you always think you're better than you actually are. I mean,
you gotta have confidence.
Yeah, you got to an extent.
Yeah. But I do remember. So again, like there's only so much that I know about you, just being so far from you in age. But I do remember going to watching some of your high school basketball games, and the one game I do remember, I think you fouled out. It's like, and I didn't.
A lot.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
I bet you did.
That's hard nosed basketball, right?
But yeah, that's how that's how I had to play, and you know what I mean. And my coach, I love my coach. Much love to Coach White, wherever he's at. He was awesome, and that was one of his things. He was like, "Look, man, he's like, you got 5 fouls." He's like, "Use them."
Use them.
Use them.
Like, I don't give a shit if you foul out with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Like, you
Right.
foul out at halftime, I'm not going to be happy. But he's like, use your fouls. He's like, don't, you're obviously you're not trying to go out and hurt anybody.
Yeah.
But, basketball fouls can be strategic.
Set the tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just how I had to play because, I played with guys that could run faster, could jump higher. I mean, luckily I was blessed with height, so I wasn't ever the smallest guy on the court. But a lot of times, I mean, that's just how I had to do it. I had to go down, I had to throw elbows, I had to get in the mix.
What position did you run? Forward?
Honestly, I could play about any, but most of the time I played forward. I played power forward or small forward, depending on who else was on the court. Because,
Right.
we had some pretty good guys. In most of the teams, we could go bigger or we could go smaller. So, like, when we went, a bigger team, like, I'd be, a 3 or even sometimes a 2.
Yeah.
I actually could handle the ball fairly decent.
You could shoot a little bit.
Oh, I could shoot.
Yeah.
I could definitely shoot.
Versatile role. You got that height, able to shoot, play some good defense, find a way to be on the court.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I could shoot. I wasn't scared to get down there and throw elbows and get rebounds, and I could play pretty good defense. So yeah, basketball was fun. Well, actually, Nash just decided he wants to start playing, so now I'm coaching basketball.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
So you need an
I
assistant.
actually coached Maddie the last 2 seasons with her with the little kids, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
The biggest thing with them is trying to get them to dribble. Like,
yeah.
They get the ball and tuck it in there like a running back and run circles around the court and throw it at the rim. All right.
Yeah. Skills come later. Fundamentals first.
That's one of those things. Basketball, you don't really. I mean, there's some kids. Some kids are good. At this age, but most aren't.
That's what
I think the basketball, like the physically, like you're more developed to really play it the right way once you get 9, 10, 11 years old.
It's a lot of mental things too. Like when you said they tuck it and run around, they get so hyper focused on trying to score the basketball that they don't remember that they need to dribble it. And to your point, it's just like a development thing and over time. But the younger you start them, when that development age comes, it's a lot easier to for them to keep it ingrained and really learn that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely think they should play younger at a younger age.
Get a ball in their hand like at a young age.
Just to learn how to dribble.
Right.
If anything, learn how to dribble with both hands. It's so funny watching all these 10-year-old kids. I'm like, can anybody dribble with their left hand? It's like,
no. 2
of them. Like, let's see who can do a left hand layup. Go from the left side of the court. Everybody's shooting the right hand. Like, we're missing the point here, guys. Left hand. What's the left hand?
That's a real thing, though. I think the earlier, and this might sound so dumb and common sense, but it's true. The earlier you're able to get a kid to have the ability not only to dribble with his both hands, but to be able to shoot a skilled layup on the both sides, that excels them insanely because now they're able to operate on both sides of the court. Because for me, for a long time, I was never confident in my right hand. I mean, for a long time, I never trusted it. Even in middle school, I didn't like it. So a lot of my game, I ended up being on the left side of the court using my left hand, and that kind of that shrinks your court size, and then obviously shrinks your ability to make plays. So it's as dumb and as common sense it might sound. If you can get those dudes at the young age, like Nash's age, dribbling strong both ways and be able to finish both ways, it opens up their game so much more. And now they're able to take that next step and elevate themselves way more than anybody else is.
Yeah, and I can remember playing against guys. One guy in particular was a good player on our team. Only had a right hand.
Yeah,
he was a very good basketball player, but could not go left. So what did you do? You made him go left every time, and he couldn't do anything.
Yeah,
as soon as somebody else as soon as somebody we were playing figured out, all you had to do was shut him down, was make him go left. He was done.
Yeah. Even in my best days, I could go right, but I didn't want to. I wanted to go left, and so if someone was playing me, that's what they did. They shoved me right, and sometimes it made me ineffective.
Yeah, get you in your head at that point too. You realize you can't go to your dominant side, and then you start overthinking, and then the rest of your game is just shot.
Right, everything goes to shit. I remember, to your point, Nick. I think we played 1-on-1 at some point in Reynolds a couple years ago back or whatever. But after a while, you knew I was lefty, but you kind of figured out, okay, like he really just wants to go left. So you just sat on my left hip, and you like just like kind of like had that little hedge angle on me, and it was like, all right, beat me going right. And I don't know what it ended up being, but yeah, it definitely makes you like start to overthink. Your
I
footwork
let
goes
you in. That's what happened.
your footwork goes to shit, and like everything becomes a whole like overthought process.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah, I
definitely
mean,
can. And that's another thing, that's interesting about basketball is like most people can't play when they're mad, when they're upset for whatever
No.
reason. I was usually pretty good when I got pissed off, but most guys like can't. And I remember me and my best friend, like we used to almost fight over basketball, but he would get so mad, and I would just keep pushing those buttons, because I knew if he got mad, he wasn't gonna make any shots. You know?
Yeah. The
Yeah.
head starts to spin. It seems
Yeah.
like there's guys like you that they like that. They like that fire. Like piss me off, see what happens. But
Yeah.
some dudes like they don't want that. They want to play. They want to play in their style, in their comfort zone. So if you get them out of it, they're flustered, and the thought process goes to shit. And guys like you, that's when you guys have the success, and that shit's annoying as hell. Like
Well, yeah. I
now
mean, I remember a lot of
I'm
guys that, they were like bigger guys, you know what I mean? But they still wanted to play finesse game. They just wanted to stand outside and shoot. You know?
yeah.
you're not a
Just,
shooter, buddy.
I just come
Yeah.
out there and foul the shit out of
Give them an
them.
elbow.
Like,
Yeah.
smack their hand as hard as I could when he tries to shoot. You know what I mean? Like, keep trying to shoot. But then they just get mad. I'd be like, what am I supposed to do now? Like,
Right.
come down here and
Yep.
play. No.
Yeah. We just recently recorded with someone. He's a Lakers fan and obviously loves the Black Mamba. But like that's one dude that like I look at and think like, the Mamba mentality, like that dude plays like he's got, a chip on his shoulder, but he's like he plays pissed. You know what I mean? And that when you see that look in his face, you're like, uh-oh, he's about to drop 50, 60 tonight.
Well, yeah, he was. He's one of those guys that he was even more scary when he got pissed off, and he got that from Michael Jordan.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
if you take his game and break it down and watch the way he moves, the way he shoots, the way he does things, and then if you put a tape of Jordan right next to it, like where do you think Kobe learned to shoot a fadeaway? From
He
Michael
says
Jordan.
it too.
Jordan.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Kobe
it's
used
from
to
Jordan.
say it. Yeah.
Yeah, he said it all the time. I
He's
mean,
the
who
first
better
one
to
to tell you.
counter the
Yeah.
game after?
Yeah.
Obviously. I mean, it's argued. People can argue who's better. It doesn't really matter. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
Kobe was absolutely that way, and Jordan was that way. Well, yeah,
yeah.
Jordan's.
I think
Like nobody
Jordan,
wanted to
at
piss
least,
Jordan off. Like,
yeah.
have you ever watched?
I've never seen tapes of him like being pissed off often, but like I'm sure like it was internalized and like that just like got him in the zone.
Oh, he was a dick, dude.
Jordan
Was
talked hella shit.
People hated Jordan. The guys on his team hated Jordan.
Yeah.
Have you watched that documentary, the series on him, The Last Dance?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess. Yeah. They talk about how he was a
No,
menace.
they all hated Jordan.
Yeah.
They're making one right now. Like Pippen and a couple of other guys are coming out, and they're making their own version, their side of because a lot of them felt like it was, I don't know, like they're not the full true story, and kind of like swayed to make look Jordan better. Which obviously it's going to be a little bit, but they said that it was just kind of disrespectful to them, so they're coming out with their own. Like there's 3 of them. I forget who it is. I know it's Pippen and
Pippen,
2 others.
Rodman.
It's Horace Grant. I bet you
Oh,
more.
Yeah,
Grant,
it might
yeah.
be because he didn't
Because
like
I
him
know
either. He didn't
Horace.
like him at
Yeah,
all.
because Jordan definitely ran Horace Grant down on that one. He was pissed at Horace Grant from something that happened in the '90s. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, he didn't
But
cut Horace Grant no slack.
But to your point, I agree with you. Like you can argue who's the best player of all time, but when it comes like the closest style of player to Jordan that there ever will be, it was Kobe. The way he mimicked his game. Like LeBron's great. Don't get me wrong, but when it comes to the closest in style wise, Kobe is as close as it gets to mimicking what Jordan did.
And he might have done some things better.
Right.
You know what I mean? He might have been like honestly, Kobe's fadeaway jumper was probably better.
Probably.
But Kobe practiced it his entire life. He watched that his whole life to learn how to do that. Jordan developed. once he was already in the league. You know what I mean? Like Jordan wasn't a great shooter when he came in. He could just go by everybody. He was just so athletic. And like as the years went on, that fadeaway jumper became his thing. And then it was, that's almost, if you can shoot a fadeaway jumper, it's almost impossible to stop. Unless you got freaking rubber arms, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard to beat.
Yeah. Who's the new guy? The new kid? Wemby, right?
Wembanyama.
I haven't watched him. I don't watch too much NBA. This time of year I'll start to watch college just because that's.
Yeah, you ready for some March Madness?
Yeah, actually, that all
Selection Sundays today.
Yeah, Selection Days today. Y'all gonna fill out a bracket?
I think they got to wait for the SEC tournament to finish, and then they'll start releasing it. But yeah,
of course, it would be the SEC.
I think there's one more conference.
No, we're the SEC. You got to wait on us. Like, we're not waiting on y'all. We'll go last.
Yeah,
it's the Big Ten and actually, the Big Ten's the last one, but the Big Ten and the SEC play today. Yeah.
Okay.
Where the most money's at too.
SEC game, right?
Yeah, they're playing Auburn today at 12, or I guess 1 for y'all.
Yeah. Now we do a bracket. I got a couple friend groups. You always do the same, same people, same, you do a bracket every year. So it's always fun to do. And it's always just pure luck. Like I remember, I don't know, like past 2 years, my brackets got busted, the first weekend. And it's and I picked like Kentucky to go far 2 years ago. And I picked Kansas to go far last year. Like it just shit happens, but it's always fun to get the guys together, guys and girls, do a bracket.
Yeah, and I'm just the tournament's just such a cool thing. You know what I mean? I love the urgency. I love the one and done. Like,
Yep.
It's the best. If you want to call it a week or month of sports, in my opinion, like there's nothing that comes close to this.
Yeah, it really might be.
Like there's better one-off games. Like you can talk about game 7s and whatever sport you like, but when it comes to like a full event, like this is as good as it gets.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree.
And you got to think about it. You got a bunch of 18 to 21-year-olds, like to your point, with one shot to get to the next round. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like we can't go play tomorrow. We got to win today, and that's just that's the best form of basketball, best form of sport you can get in general.
Yeah, just the urgency. You know what I mean? It's like we have to win. Like this could be it.
Everything's out the door. Yeah,
everything you got, and we don't keep going.
Right.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, the Jim Valvano survive an advanced story. You love an underdog story like that, and obviously they're the epitome of doing that.
And there's always one. I'm kind of hoping it's Stetson this year, just because they've never been there before, and they're right down the road. I've never been to a Stetson basketball game. I've been to a couple baseball games over there.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, Stetson's always had a pretty good baseball program.
Yeah, they can play some baseball. They put a couple guys in the league last few years.
Yeah. Yeah. But I got my Hurricanes gear on today. I feel like we should remind Ryan that we outnumber him today.
Yeah, we definitely outnumbered today.
As fans, you can do that.
Yeah, we've had a few Florida Gator fans on, so I've always been outnumbered on those episodes. But this one I feel a little bit empowered. You can eat it, Ryan.
How was the? I'm actually not even talking shit. How was Miami this year in basketball? I don't even know if were they any good this year.
Yeah, I don't know. Some fan I am.
Well, yeah, I think they're okay. I think they were on. I think they might have been on yesterday. Because if they were on yesterday, they went decently far in the ACC tournament. But I could be totally wrong.
All I know is that we lost the Cavender twins, so I'm a little disappointed.
They went 15-17 in their overall schedule, and they went 6-14 in the ACC. So they were second to last.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
There's always hope for baseball, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Florida opens up against Miami Labor Day weekend in Gainesville.
This year?
Yeah. Apparently, we're all supposed to
Yeah,
be at
that's one I swore I'd never do again.
what? Go to Gainesville?
Oh no, just an early September game in Gainesville.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's
Yeah,
hot, dude.
that's gonna be tough.
It
Yeah,
depends on the game. I mean, if that game would be at night, it might not be that. It would still be hot. I mean, it's
it'd be
Gainesville in
gross.
freaking September. But we went to see Tennessee play Florida when a couple of my buddies were still going there, and Tennessee won, by the way, in case you're wondering.
What was that? 40 years ago?
20 something.
You big Volunteers fan because of the McBees?
I've always liked Tennessee. You know, I'd say, yeah, if I had to pick a second team, it'd probably be, Tennessee or Georgia, somewhere in there, which people get mad at because you're not allowed to like both. But whatever.
Yeah.
They hate each other. But no, we went to a September game, 1:00 game in Gainesville, like second week of September, and this was before you could drink beers in the stadium, so it didn't matter. But I mean, I just remember I couldn't drink enough water. And then it was so packed in there, you're touching shoulders with the people next to you. And I'm just glad they were my buddies because I'm sweating on them. They're sweating on me. It was freaking miserable.
A terrible time.
Yeah, it sucked. So I probably won't go to that one. I think I'll watch that one on TV.
That's funny because I think me and my dad actually one of the first Florida games that I ever went to with my dad in Gainesville. I think it was in early September or early September, or whatever it might be, October. But it was early and it was hot and it was against Tennessee, and that was I remember just feeling the heat of Gainesville, and it's honestly just the humidity and how gross it gets in that stadium. It's just not even the stadium, just in general. That area of Florida is just gross at that time of year.
It really is, and I didn't realize it until when a couple of my boys were going to college up there. I'd take off for a couple of weeks every summer. By the time school was getting cranking back up, and the partying got good, so I'd go up there and find a job and work construction a couple of weeks, and I'd been doing it here on the East Coast, so I thought I was tough. But it's yeah, man, I've been working on the sun, whatever. Over there, it is a whole different deal. You're talking about dead still, freaking muggy, no breeze, and 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm sweating through my clothes. I feel like I've been working all day already. It sucked. I did not like working over there.
There's a reason it's called the swamp.
Exactly.
It has that effect.
It does.
But yeah, it was cool. We had Uncle Rick on the podcast too, and we talked about Chris's game in the swamp there, and I remember watching that. Obviously, it was a devastating loss there, but it was a state championship title, and that was pretty exciting to see and be there for. I think that was my first time going to a game in the swamp, and I've been to other college football games in the swamp as well, and I gotta say, I enjoyed that way more than the college football just because of the experience that it was.
Yeah, that was a really cool deal. I wish my dad would have been around to see that one. But yeah, I just remember I remember losing my voice on that one for sure, just yelling.
Do they rotate?
And one of the other thing, that team, that school that Chris and them were playing was Belgrade. They had beaten Astronaut several years in the playoffs, late in the playoffs. Before Chris and them were there, all my buddies that played football, the guys that were a year or two ahead of me, they were really, really good too. They went to if it wasn't state finals, it was state semifinals. They were damn close, and it was always Belgrade. It was Belgrade was just always been that nemesis.
Yep.
Astronaut was good even when my dad was there a long time ago, and he says that even the years after he was there, they continue to be good. And it sounds like they just rolled that into around y'all's time frame whenever y'all were getting into school.
It's always been good. Astronauts just always been good. I mean, you'll have down years. One of my best buddies has been coaching there for the last 20 years or whatever, and it goes up and down. But yeah, Astronauts had some really good teams. I mean, several NFL players came out of there.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, do they rotate those stadiums? How do they do that for the state title game? Why was it in Gainesville that year?
They rotate the stadiums.
Okay, like what, to like the big three universities like FSU, Miami, and Florida?
I
Or
don't know. I don't know exactly how that works, but I'm pretty sure it's not in the same place every year, or it didn't used to be. But that could have changed now.
nowadays
You
there's
know?
too much money involved, so they probably find their stadium that pays them the most.
Yeah, it just depends. On the stadiums. Stadiums are so much better now, so much
Yeah,
nicer, and like, yeah, so-
that is
Yeah.
cool though that he got to play in the swamp in high school. That's just like a
that
eye
it was cool, and what was better. It was like he had always been a Gator fan up to that point.
right.
You know,
Yeah.
so
So
that
he got
was
to live up to the to the opportunity, you know, obviously doing and he played college ball. He played at USF, but
yeah. He played at USF, so I don't think he never he was never able to play Florida or any of those big teams again. But USF didn't play. They were just kind of on the come up when he went over there. They weren't. They didn't have a lot of big teams they were playing in. Now they play bigger teams.
yeah.
Sean, you mentioned your dad like wanting to see it. I actually have a jacket from your dad, a Florida Gator jacket. It's like a bomber jacket. I don't know how he got it, but it was like in our attic. We found it probably, I don't know, 5, 10 years ago. I think my
So
dad
shit.
knew. I think my dad knew that we had it, but I found it in the attic, 10 years ago or so, and it's hanging up
Wow.
in my closet right now. It's like a bright orange, got gators stripped across the top.
I think I remember it.
Yeah,
Honestly.
it's got his I think it's got his name on the in like the inside back of it written on the top, so it is confirmed.
Huh. Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm sure that was like a prized possession.
You Gator fans definitely would love that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's part of the reason. That's most of the reason I'm a Miami fan.
Yeah. Did you guys go back and forth? Is that because I mean, the U in the '80s and '90s, this was prime time.
Yeah, and I kind of caught on to the tail end of it. I remember I can remember watching the Jimmy Johnson, the games and Irvin, and those games in like the late '90s. But I missed some of that. Well, actually, Michael Irvin wasn't there, but when Jimmy Johnson was still coaching Miami, I missed the stuff obviously in the early '80s because I was too young. I didn't
Yep.
realize, what was going on. So about the time that I started watching football would have been, the 90, 91, when I was 10, 11 years old, when I can actually understand what's going on in the game. And then, it's kind of the options. It was like, all right, my dad likes Miami. So, or my dad liked the Gators. I didn't want to like the Gators. It's like, can't like Florida State. So it's like Miami was badass and they were all gangster and what I mean, like just cool. It's like, all right, I'm gonna like them.
Yeah.
Stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved those documentaries too, talking about, sports documentaries, but the U and the U part two, like I completely missed it, right? I was born
Yeah.
right before the end of it, and then we had one more national title. But just kind of
Yeah.
seeing what that was, and just because I've always been a Hurricanes fan, just because my dad was,
Yeah.
um, and my grandpa went there and played sports there. But
I always forget that your grandpa went there.
yeah, I mean it was back in the day before the U was the U. Like he
Right.
was,
But still, I mean, that's a connection,
yeah,
That's cool. But
yeah. I remember in my entrance application, I think I, for whatever reason, I thought I would talk about that, and obviously it didn't hit, and didn't get accepted. But I was
they
like,
didn't
yeah, I'm
really
a
care.
shoe in.
Guess
Yeah,
what? A lot of people's grandpas went here.
yeah, exactly. Like I'd like recently watched Animal House and talking about legacies. Like, oh yeah, you get in because your brother was in. Like, all right, yeah, I'll get in because my grandpa was in. Didn't didn't change it, but
No. They weren't too worried about that.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, watching the documentary is just kind of it's so awesome to see how crazy they were, how awesome they were, and
Yeah,
they
and
were freaking
what's really
gangsters.
one thing that's really cool for me is I was lucky enough. Like obviously the first one's mostly the early '80s, getting into the '90s, all that. The second one covers the resurgence, the very late '90s, early 2000s. One of my buddies played on those teams.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so we used to go down. We would go down there, go to the game. I got to hang out with a bunch of those dudes. Meet a bunch of those players. Like Clinton Portis was his roommate. You know what I mean?
Oh shit.
That's
They're hanging
sick.
out with Clinton Portis. You know what I mean? Like it was like all those guys, like Jared Payton. Jared Payton, one of the coolest dudes I ever met. He was such a cool dude. I was really bummed when his dad died, and we thought we were going to get a meeting.
Yeah.
Like one of the games that we went down there, because him and my buddy, they were the same age, and they were both freshmen at the same time, so they got to be pretty good friends. And he had said, he's like, man, I think my pops is coming down to this game. So we got down there. He's like, dude, we might get Walter Payton. Like,
That'd be crazy.
Shit, really? And unfortunately, that's right when he started getting sick. So he didn't make it to the game. Obviously, we never got to meet him. He died not that long after, but that's just watching that second documentary is really cool because I can remember the games, like when they went to the Sugar Bowl, the year before they won the national title, and we should have won a national title. We got ripped off on that one, but we went to the Sugar Bowl. Like we flew out there for the game, and I remember
That's
my
awesome.
buddy, telling me about the scrap they got into the night before. He was there. It was like he was hanging out with all the brothers, and he's like, "There's no bullshit. Like they went to it, in the streets in the middle of downtown New Orleans, Miami, whooped the Gators' ass in the game and in the fight."
Yeah,
that's fun. I like watching that one. I've watched that one probably 15 times.
Oh yeah, I can rewatch that one all the time. There's a few of those, the 30 for 30s. There's a few of those that I could rewatch. They're just so well done. I wish they would have done more. And it's kind of cool. Netflix is doing like an Untold one, and there's a few other sports documentary series that do pretty well with some stories that you've never heard of, from the sports unless you were, involved with it or truly following it. But they do a great job.
They do. Have you ever watched the one on Shaq? It's an HBO one. It's like a 4-part series.
No, I gotta find that one.
That's a good one.
It's really good. Yeah.
You watched it?
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah, I didn't realize how smart Shaq was.
Yeah, he's not just a big old idiot.
No, he's not. You think he's a big goofball, and he is a big goofball, but he's a very smart businessman. Like,
he's taking care of himself for sure.
Yeah.
I wanted
he's got some acumen.
I wanted to kind of get into some pop-up talk because I know we talked about it. We briefly brought it up, but kind of talking about basketball with you. But did you ever get to play like with pop-up? Did you ever get on the court with him and run it up? Because he was a good ball player himself.
Apparently he was a phenomenal athlete in just about everything he played. He was a very good baseball player. A very good basketball player. I think I'm trying to remember what else he could play. Because I know he told me one time that he was pretty sure he played. I know he played college baskembasketball. He played against Dick Vitale, or Dickie V. He played against him. He played against him. I remember that. And I'm pretty sure at one point he was on a baseball team with Joe DiMaggio's brother.
He played minor league baseball.
Yeah,
at some point.
I think semi-pro baseball or whatever they called it at the time. And I'm pretty sure he played on a team with the DiMaggio. Your dad might know.
My dad tells me a little bit about it because he knows that he played with some guys on that team that ended up making it to the big leagues. And he played with a guy named Carl Yastrzemski, who went on to be one of the great Red Sox players.
See, maybe that's what it was. Maybe you know what? I bet that what it is I'm confusing Yastrzemski with DiMaggio because Carl Yastrzemski is one of the greatest Red Sox ever.
Yeah, so it's actually funny.
There's like a section in the freaking Fenway Park named after him or something.
Yeah, so it's actually a funny story. My dad tells. Well, this is what I guess Pop-Up used to tell my dad, but. At the minor league age, or at least back in that time frame, the best player, the most athletic player in the field played shortstop. That's just the way it was. And so Pop-Up was at shortstop, and Yastrzemski played third. And then obviously, like, Yastrzemski went on to be one of the greatest Red Sox ever, and Pop-Up didn't make it. I don't know if he ever played a big league game or not, but it's just kind of weird how they were right next to each other, and he was the dude, but Carl ended up making it, to become, like I said, a legend and whatnot. But yeah, he to your point, he played with some guys that were all time.
Yeah, so he played college basketball. He was athletic. He was in good shape for a long time. I definitely remember him coming and playing basketball with me.
It's just like I don't know about Nick. I know for me, like I was always too young. I think my
Yeah.
parents skied with him like when Alexis and Davis might have been like 1 or 2 years old or something like that. But I never got to see pop up at like an athletic or even like a mobile. I mean, he was mobile when I was alive, but from what I can remember, when I was 10, 11, 12, he's already kind of had his foot problems and the hip surgery and whatnot. So I never got to see like a mobile athletic pop up, but I always heard these stories. And he used to come to my basketball games, and he'd give me quarters for every he'd give me a quarter for every assist I got because he wanted me to pass the ball. Like he wanted me to become a good passer and facilitator. And so like that's always something like he'd come and I'd like leave the game and he'd give me like whatever it was 4 or 5 quarters, and that was the one thing that he always did for me. But it was always cool to hear about it, but it would have been obviously cool to see it. And it sounds like, I don't know about you, Nick, but I know Sean definitely experienced a lot of that.
Yeah. He was giving you those quarters so that you could, place those phone calls at the
Phone call.
payphones
Yeah,
when
in case
you
you needed a
stuck at home.
ride.
No, I was too young to really observe him in, like we're joking earlier. I'm 33, Sean's 43. Joking earlier, we're approaching the hill, and like I'm feeling beat up and out of shape and unathletic. So like he was, he was like 60, when I was born. So, again, just really maybe 50. He was 50, but again, yeah, it was, and I was too young to really see anything like that. But what I do remember is like, Sean, when did he get the title Crazy Pop Up? Like what I was told is like he would be just the kooky one, like just always trying to make the kids laugh, which was obviously love him for it. And I think the story was he would like he would jump up on the breakfast table and like act like a monkey or something, and that's how he got the title Crazy Pop Up.
Yeah, he would definitely do some stuff like that, or he'd like make these funny ass faces, or he'd like take his dimples out and just like he was just funny, man. He was just always like you hardly ever saw the guy in a bad mood.
Because if he wasn't bad, you didn't see him.
Yeah, he's just like he was just awesome. Like me and him were roommates for a while. Like he was my favorite roommate ever. Like I loved living with him. It was so cool.
What's your all-time story living with him? We gotta hear this.
Oh man, you might have to edit this one out. I don't know if I'm allowed to tell this one. But whatever. Sorry, sorry, GD Babs. But anyway, me and him and my buddy were sitting down at the bar drinking beers, watching some kind of ball game or something in the afternoon. I don't know what it was. We didn't have much going on. So we were like, because we would go hang out at the same bar or whatever, So it totally didn't mean the meeting, but I probably knew he was going to be there. So me and my buddy rolled in, Pops was there. So we're hanging out, having some beers, and we start talking story or whatever. So, we go back to the house and, I'm in there twisting one up. I'm like, hey, Pops, I'm like, we're going to go out on the back porch. You want to go? He was like, it's for you kids. It's for you kids. I'm like, all right, cool. So me and my buddy was sat on our back porch for a minute. And what about 2 minutes, you hear that sliding glass door open. He sits down and just looks and sticks his hand out. And I'm like, all right, here you go. I always just crack up about that one. It was like, me and my buddy still laugh about it. Man, remember joy, Grandpa. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That is pretty legendary.
Yeah. Did it make him kookier or
no?
Did he?
No, he was
typical.
He was good, man. He was a cool dude, man. He was fun to be around. Just love that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, maybe we'll edit that one out. Like you said, Gigi Babs.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But I remember because he was always funny because he worked at the beach. Once that was his retirement job. He was the ticket guy at the beach once they put in the tolls out at the beach. So he'd be the one stopping cars. You got your pass. Okay, you don't have a pass. You got to pay. What's funny is like all the girls I knew in high school, they'd go to the beach. They didn't have to pay. They didn't have to have no pass. I'm like, how'd I get in? It's like the old dude at the gate let us in. I'm like, yeah, that's
oh,
So then they figured it out. They knew all they had to do was go to the gate. Oh, here we go, Sean. Go ahead. Go have fun.
Yeah.
And then sometimes he would call me. He'd be like, man, you need to get out here. He's like, I just let a bunch of these girls, out here at the beach. Like, all right, I'm on the way. Let's go.
I'm on my way.
Best
He called
wingman
me,
ever.
he called me a few times and woke me up. He's like, hey, he's like, waves are good. He's like, there's all kind of surfers out here. You better get out here. I'm like, cool.
Could he surf himself?
Nah.
No.
I mean, I doubt that he ever did. I mean, he could have if he had ever tried, but no,
Right.
he never said it.
Never cared to.
Yeah. He loved the
Yeah.
beach. I mean, he loved hanging on the beach. That's one of my favorite photos I have of him. Actually, I got from your mom, Ryan. She had it somewhere. But it's just him all stretched out at the beach, tan, and just smiling, just chilling.
Was that whenever y'all came in town for Alexis's wedding? Because I know she had like a bunch of photos pulled out from family time. That might be a different time I'm thinking of, but
No, I don't remember. I don't remember when she found it.
yeah.
And she said, I don't have the actual copy of the photo. I have I have a copy of the photo now. So she sent to me on the phone. Like she took a picture of the photo,
Okay.
and I had a copy made and have it in a frame somewhere.
The one thing I know outside of his like professional athletic career, I do know he was a phenomenal skier. Like him and my dad, they used to go on all the blacks, all the double blacks. That was what he loved to ski, and he was really good at it too.
Yeah, I'm sure he was. I mean, I'm pretty sure he was good at about anything that he ever tried to do.
He could drink well. He was an athlete.
I was going to say, I mean, he was damn good at putting Guinness down.
Sadly, that one missed my generation. I can't do Guinness. Last time I drank Guinness was probably like one of the worst hangovers ever.
Yeah, I could do like.
I'm not that Irish.
Yeah, I could do like one, and it's really, and honestly, it has to be halfway warm too. Like they're even worse when they're cold. But no, I didn't get that one from him for sure.
Now that I think of it, I was actually roommates with Pop Up too for some years when he lived down here in Texas with us. He lived at the house with us, and so I guess me and Sean have that in common.
Yes, you were.
Yeah.
That's funny.
He used to he would drive us, if we needed to get somewhere and mom and dad were both working, because there was a phase where my mom she worked a little bit just to stay busy and whatnot, and Pop Up was with us at that time, living with us. He would take us to practices or pick us up from school, and he had that old, I don't even know what kind of car it was, that old like navy blue beat up little 2-door sedan. And he drove the
Saturn.
Saturn. Yes, it was a Saturn.
He loved Saturns for some reason. He owned a few of them.
I remember like it parked out front of our house, and I was like, Dad, like I was probably like 10. I was like, Dad, whenever I can drive, I want that car. Like I want Pop-Up's car. And that thing was beat to shit by the time that came around. So
what a dork.
I was a 10-year-old kid wanted to be like his grandpa, but one of the funniest things I remember, and I wasn't in the car. I think he was by himself. He used to take my mom. There was a point where I think we sold his car because he wasn't driving enough or whatever it might be. So if he needed to drive, he would use one of our cars. He would drive to the bar that was up the road. It's called the Point After North. It's where he went like all the time, and that's where you could find him if you needed him. But I don't know where he was coming from. But he came home one day, and it was towards the end of his driving career. He went to hit the brake. He went to hit the brake and hit the gas, and the garage was shut. It was the single garage at our old house. He went straight through the garage. It's like folded in half and makes it all the way to the back wall, which like that wall goes to our backyard where our pool is at. And he like was damn near like busting through the back wall, like full on. Like and that's when they like I think my mom and dad were like, yeah, like you're done driving our car. Like if you want to go purchase your own car, like that's fine, but you're done with ours. And so that's when I remember like coming home from school. I forget where I came from, but I like got home and the garage was just like halfway bent up. I was like, what the hell happened here?
Something happened.
Yeah, I can totally see that one happen.
Yeah, he had a good few of those moments. I recall some of those too.
Yeah, he had it dialed though, because he would, he'd hang out. Like it was funny. He'd rotate spots like every year, or every few months, and part of it depended on the bartenders, right? Because bartenders would move around the bars, So, but he would go to places, most of the time where people knew him well, but they would also drive him home. Like, the
He can make
bartenders drove him home like so many times. Like I can remember, once or twice rolling up to his place, and there's some chick bartender trying to drag his ass up the stairs.
he can make
Luckily, me and my buddy showed up, helped him get up the stairs. Like,
he can make a friend
he was-
anywhere he went. That's for sure.
and he could, like he, everybody loved him everywhere you went.
He's always, like you said, he's always smiling with that big old goofy smile. And the last memory, or like one of the good memories we have when he was in the retirement home. I mean, I don't know if it's good or bad, but he would like push his recliner into like random like people's rooms and just like hang out in there. And they'd like come back and be like, "What are you doing in here?" And then this is like honestly, like obviously later on in his life, so the full mental capacity wasn't there anymore, but he knew what he was doing. And so he pushed his recliner. I mean, it wasn't like he was going across the hallway. He would go down the hallway, like he was going far places. And yeah, he would just put his recliner there, and he would just sitting there. And my parents would go in, and the attendant, the nurse would be like, "Hey, like, Pop Up, he moved the recliner again." So we'd go in there and be like, "Pop Up, you can't move your recliner. Like, you have to stay in here. Like, if you want to go to see your friends, you can, but don't move your recliner into the hallway." Like some days we'd come in to visit him, and he'd be sitting in the hallway in his recliner.
Yeah. It's just a social butterfly.
He just wanted to be around people.
Yeah, he did. He liked being around people.
Yeah. Talking about, obviously the loved ones that we missed, we talked about Uncle Brian, and, I don't know if I didn't address this yet, but obviously he was always good to me. And I was thinking about, one of the birthday gifts I got from him was, Hot Hoops. I don't know if you remember that, but that was like literally one of my favorite games for like at least 2 to 3 years stretch. And it was like that little one that it would have like the hoop would just drift back and forth, and it would have like the audience sounds in the background. And then you like put the ball and flip it up and try.
The ball like flies and
Yeah, that was the coolest freaking game when I had that. So I love that. That was a good memory.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. And then obviously we lost Aunt Katie to cancer battle too. But I mean, she was a riot in and of herself. I'm curious if you have any good Aunt Katie stories.
Oh goodness, dude, it's hard to remember. Because her and Grandpa both they lived in New York for probably. I mean, I don't really remember them that much before I was like 10 years old. Because they both lived, in New York that whole time, but then they moved to Florida within a certain. I don't remember exactly how far apart, but it wasn't long. They were both living in Florida. And like I can remember Kathy coming over to our house, and I was probably about 10, and just telling me stories like her jail stories, like her partying stories. Like she was freaking wild.
Yeah.
Like getting in fights in jail, like beating up the guards and shit. Like she was crazy. She was crazy. She was so cool, super, super cool, very talented. I don't know if y'all know, but she was like very artistically talented.
I knew a little bit about that. Yeah.
So I remember she helped me make a poster when I was in like 5th grade or something, student council or some stupid shit. And, the Batman movie had just come back out, so
is that Michael Keaton one?
Yeah, like the like 1989 or something. But anyway, I remember my poster, and she came over and basically drew the whole poster for me and did the whole thing. And I was like, whatever it was, but I remember going to school and putting a poster up on the walls, like some kids would vote for me, and I can remember, one kid in particular, my buddy Jerry Fernandez, big black kid. He's like, I'm voting for you because you got the best poster on the wall.
Yeah, that's funny.
And I remember her doing other stuff like that. I can't remember that she helped him or helped Chris do stuff, but anything like any type of artistic stuff, like you'd have to call her. Like,
yep.
I just never. None of us ever. But Tim a little bit, but me and Chris, like, nah, I ain't an artistic brother in our body.
Yeah. That didn't hit us either.
Nah, she was something else, man.
Yeah, I've heard she was crazy in her own way. Like I said, I haven't said it, but I was too young to ever experience. I think I caught her in her calmer days, but definitely have heard
Yeah,
some.
yeah,
She calmed down for sure.
you definitely did. She was way more mellow and like all that because, and then I talked to her in later years, and she told me something about her partying days and stuff, and I was just kind of like,
She was
wow,
crazy.
Blown away.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I thought I was going hard at the time. I was like, really? I don't know if I
Yeah.
could have kept up with you back then. Like, she was wild.
I feel like generation to generation, it gets like not softer, but less wild. Like from Katie to you to Nick to me. I just feel like you're not able. We said it earlier. You're not able to get away with as much, but also just like it's just a lot calmer nowadays. I feel like there's still people out there that are doing some crazy shit, but from like a consistent standpoint, like I mean, I had my fun, but nothing like that wild.
Yeah,
I think it depends on environment too, environment and demographic. Like this. I would say we all for the most part. You said it before. Mama came over. Great grandma Scott came over on the boat, and so crazy pop up. Grew up in an orphanage. You come from very humble beginnings, and then we've managed to make it to middle class for the most part, and um, but I know friends. I've had friends that were extremely wealthy, extremely way more privileged than I am, and you hear about it in stories too. But it's like they are like they go to rehab for drugs and
yeah,
um, overdoses, cocaine, and that and cocaine's a hell of a drug. So Rick James said, according to Dave Chappelle, but um, you know what I mean? Like you could be any type of person, any type of demographic, but the environment allows for certain things to occur. And maybe Aunt Katie grew up in the '70s, so that was a wild time, and rules were different,
it
and
was.
it
Yeah,
it it made it very possible to get away with that, or at least get
yeah,
involved in that.
absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah, we certain environments are much more mellow, and yeah, Aunt Katie was a riot though. We'll have to hear some of her stories. You'll have to share some of the good ones another day for us, because now you got my interest peaked.
Yeah,
There's some.
she had some pretty good ones. I'd have to think about it, man. She's pretty funny.
Yeah,
Uh,
but go ahead, Ryan.
Nick, I was gonna ask Sean. I mean, we mentioned how we lost Aunt Katie to cancer, and I feel like I wouldn't say we've been like I don't know. I feel like the family's seen a good amount of cancer from just different people have had their own fights, and Sean, obviously you had your fight. I don't know. I remember talking to you at Alexis's wedding, kind of for the first time, where I was able to be like an adult, like and understand kind of like just people and what it's like, and being able to talk to you about it, and like just how you were able to get through it all. I don't know. Just I mean, I've always known you as just a tough son of a bitch that like just gonna get through anything, but like that you were telling me that's a whole different beast, like in itself.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's scary as fuck at first. It's like the worst thing you could ever hear. It's like, hey, you got cancer. You're like, huh? What you talking
Yeah,
about? But then it's like, shit, am I gonna die?
right.
So you wander around in that headspace for a couple weeks. While you're doing all this testing and figuring out where and what you got to do, and all this. It's like it's a trip. You know what I mean? I just remember, feeling like I'm spinning for a bit, and then once you got things figured out, and one of my doctors was really cool. He was like, I remember him telling me this when I came to see him. Once we got the test results and all this shit back, he's like, dude, he's like, you just hit the cancer lottery. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? He
Yeah,
said,
That
he's like,
exists.
man, we figured out how to cure this one fucking 20 years ago. He's like, you're gonna be fine. He's like, life's gonna suck for a little bit, but you're gonna be fine.
Yeah,
And so, I don't know. Oh, I can do that. Let's go.
that's kind of like what we were talking about with March Madness, like the urgency, man. It was like, let's do this thing. Like it turned on, and
Yeah.
there's only one way. There's only one way out for you for that.
Like, yeah. That's what I forget who it was. Somebody asked me like, how do you keep going? How did you not You know, how do you not quit? I'm like, well, ain't a fucking choice.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, there is no other option.
Do
It's like,
do you do you feel like, and this might be like a little not deep, but do you feel like when you got cancer, it kind of like changed your perspective on like life at all or anything?
I think for me, what it did was just almost reaffirm the way I want to live my life.
Right.
Right. You know, I mean, I probably would, maybe I would have been better off if I'd, had cancer and totally changed all my habits and started doing things differently, and, but that's not me. And like, that was the whole thing with it for me. I was like, pretty much like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to beat this. And then I'm going to go back to doing what the fuck I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to live my life how I want to live my life. And I'm not going to let this, really have an effect on it,
Right.
as much as I can. Obviously, who knows? I mean, shit probably come back and kill me one day.
I remember you saying that to me at the wedding. You're like, if it doesn't come back and kill me, I'm gonna be pissed off.
What you gonna do about it? You know what I mean? Like, you can avoid certain habits, certain things, but it's almost like a luck of the draw kind of thing. And I feel like like I'm more inclined to get it again, I would say, than most people, just because I've had it once already. So
Yeah.
it's obviously in my genes somewhere. But then on both sides, our family, we're seeing it now a little bit. My dad's side of the family, I've seen it, a fair bit. But and just not even family, it's just people as a
Everywhere.
whole. Like, I know so many people since as in my adult life that have had to deal with this. Friends, acquaintances, family members, family of friends. Like, I don't think I don't know if I know anybody that hasn't been affected by it in some way.
Yeah, you can.
Yes.
You can see there's like. Sorry, Nick. I'll let you go real quick. But like people will be like, hey, like in a room, like raise your hand if you know someone or if you yourself have had cancer. Pretty much everybody in the room raises their hand.
Yeah, I mean, I would be very surprised. You know what I mean? Put 100 people in a room, and 95 of them are going to raise their hands.
Yeah.
To that question.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Is just it. Everyone is impacted in some way, and it's becoming more and more common. I mean, maybe it was just as common 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago. I'm sure we've been exposed to more and more harmful chemicals, just post-industrial era. Um, but yeah, I mean, they just didn't have a name for it back then. It's just like, yeah, we lost so and so at a young age, and they just got
I'm
sick,
sure
and it happened, right?
I'm sure you're right. And then medical advances have gone so far, like they can do such a better job detecting it now and figuring that stuff out that they couldn't do. The advances they made in 20 years are remarkable. Let alone you go back 40, 50 years. So
Yeah,
what used to kill people 50 years ago doesn't necessarily kill as many people now or kill them as fast, but it just seems like the prevalence of it is just like everywhere, I think you're right. I mean, there's got to be a lot of factors. I think a lot of it is all in the food that everybody eats. I mean,
yeah,
go grab anything out of your pantry that's in a box and try to pronounce all the shit that's in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Very true.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of factors to it.
yeah. I mean, they talk about microplastics now. Like, you got a water bottle in your hand,
Yeah.
a single-use plastic bottle, and it's destroying our environment. The quantity, the volume that does get produced now, and so now they're looking for ways to eliminate that. But I think, yeah, like you said, the medical advances and technology, they're able to identify, they're able to identify it now, right? And like, hey, microplastics actually is a real thing. We're starting to make breakthroughs in things like Parkinson's and um, dementia and cancers like that. So it's great to see these moves forward. Obviously, and I was thinking about this before too. Is like, man, we've been drinking from microplastic bottles for the past 50, 60 years or whatever. Like, did the person who invent that, are they like could they be seen as like one of the most evil people ever alive? But like the reality is like they didn't know it back then. It did push the envelope forward for the path of progress. So it's like, yeah, we can mass produce plastic water bottles, which means people can drink healthy, clean water and survive longer. So you're no longer drinking from, a well that has all this bacteria that's killing people in that way. And like, all right, so now we are having more and more people survive. We can add to the, daily knowledge every day. Like, the news. I was watching this show last night. It was actually pretty cool. This quote got me, but it was like, it's about this kid, he's a journalist for a newspaper in Tokyo. And like, why'd you come here? Why'd you do this? He's like, well, my dad would always have a newspaper in the morning. And he's like, you see this right here? This is knowledge increase in society every single day. Every day we get smarter. So it's like we're learning all these things. People are surviving and able to do research and learn about cancer and prevent it. Sure, we took a step back, or maybe it was a side step, like, hey, we got around this problem, but we created this, but allows us to move forward that way. And it's such a change that hopefully it's progress, right? And we're advancing.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
To wrap up the cancer talk and whatnot, if there's one listener out there, Sean, that happens to listen to us that may know somebody that they themselves are going through it or just got diagnosed, is there anything that the one tip or something you want to give them, to kind of mindset to give them to help them through it?
That was tough. I mean, for me, it was just that you're gonna get through it. It's like you don't give yourself another option.
Yeah,
right? That's the biggest thing. It's like for me, it's like there is no other choice. It's like you're gonna beat it, and that's it.
That's the mindset you gotta have.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all there is to it.
Keep it simple. There's only one option.
Like I said, keep it simple, man. Simple things.
Burn the ship. There's no way out.
Yeah. Burn the ships.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to put your head down and go.
One of the funniest.
Don't let your brain get in the way.
One of the funniest things I remember about your fight was in Reynolds at the cottage with there was an Apple involved, and Alexis happened to be out there too at some point. So always funny to hear that story.
Yeah, that's a pretty funny one. I didn't let her use the Apple. She just hung out.
So they say.
She was. I wasn't quite sure. She wasn't grown up enough at that point in my mind.
She was probably like 16 or 17 at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure she, done her own thing and whatever. But I wasn't going to be a party to it at that point.
Yeah. No.
Now, obviously, things have changed a little bit. Everybody's grown up, so it's whatever. But, that ain't even the funniest part of the story. The funniest part of the story is I got locked out of the damn house in the pouring ass rain. I had to run around and beat on windows, beat on the doors. Finally, Kim comes out and woke Kim up. I'm standing out there in the rain, like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, I'm holding my Apple, and I'm like, I got locked out.
I was hungry.
I just wanted an apple.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
That's funny. I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. I didn't even know this story. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, ask Alexis about it.
Yeah, she tells it the best.
I bet she does.
Make do with what you got.
Yeah, it's organic.
Yeah, none of that microplastic shit.
Whatever.
That's funny, man. So I wanted to ask. We kind of talked about it a little bit, and you're a stay-at-home dad and picked up jobs here and there, and so you're a stay-at-home dad. Did the cancer play a part in that? You're like, hey, you said you realized what your priorities were and how you wanted to live your life. Your wife Kim has done very well and allowed for you to for your family to focus on these certain channels. Did that play a part?
I don't know. I don't know, because there was like a year in between, by the time I was done, everything was over, and before Kim became pregnant with Nash, when I was working at the surf shop, which was kind of a cool gig for a while. I got over it. That was just kind of like a little fill in kind of thing in between. But the deal, part of the deal was, it's like, okay, it's like you don't make any money working at the surf shop. It's a lifestyle thing. It's like you get paid like free trunks and free T-shirts and cool shit, right?
Yeah.
And you get to surf, right? Because of the way the schedule is. But then you don't make any money, so it's like, okay, am I gonna stay working at a surf shop? Because have our kid in daycare, and basically for zero sum, every dollar it actually would have cost more for daycare than I would have made working at the surf shop.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that was part of the idea, the rationale, and then it just kind of, at first it really wasn't supposed to be like an ongoing thing. It was going to be long enough to where Nash could get into preschool and then go from there. But it just snowballed, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
About the time that he was fully into preschool, and that's all that was going. And then Maddie came along, and
Part two.
part two, so then we do it again. And I felt like she deserved the same, time and attention that Nash got, through those years. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Some days I wish I'd have just went to work. Probably easier. But I wouldn't take it back. I wouldn't take it back for anything. I love the time that I got to spend with them, through that age, both of them. And
Yeah.
I'm extremely thankful that I was able to do that.
Yeah. Would you
Very,
say?
very grateful to my wife, because she really is. If she wasn't so successful, then, that wouldn't be an option.
Different
Yeah.
It's
story.
mostly her hard work that's really made it possible.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So obviously you're both great parents, and we see it when we have family trips and get to see you all. Most recent one was Alexis's wedding last year. But would you say that it allowed you to become a super badass dad?
I don't know that I would say I'm a super badass dad. I think I do okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. You figure
you're
it out as you go.
you're a dad and you're badass. So I guess you're like a badass dad technically.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah. You get to coach basketball.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
never took me up on my offer if you need an assistant coach or not.
I was supposed to be assistant coach. Somehow I got roped into being a head coach. So I'm still not sure how that happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Did something right. It's like, we need you as coach.
Well, it was one of those deals. My buddy was like, "Hey, we're going to put together a basketball team because we've been struggling. They've been struggling with that. There hasn't been a very good program around. You get the old school YMCA style, and there's a different program that that didn't go well either. It's a city run deal. So it was one of those things. He's like, "Hey, if we put together a team, it's like, I think Nash will want to play." I'm like, "Yeah, maybe." He's like, "Well, Nash wants to play." He's like, "You want to help coach?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll help coach. No
Yeah.
problem if Nash wants to play." So it comes out, all right, Nash wants to play. So we go to practice, and they're like, "Okay, we got two teams." He's like, "I'm coaching this one, and you're coaching that one." I'm like, "Okay, it's a coaching team."
Yeah. The help, the heavy emphasis on coach. The word help got dropped from the equation.
Yeah, but like I told him, if all I got to do is deal with the kids, then I'm good. Like he can deal with the parents and everything else. Like I don't want a part of that.
Yeah.
I just can coach.
Yeah, there's a whole other world when it comes to coaching, and that's the parent aspect of it all.
That's the part I don't do.
Yeah.
That's the part that's kind of steered me away from wanting to get into coaching.
It gets crazy with the politics behind that. It's just like, yeah, start my kid. Like, how do you say the kid sucks?
Yeah, it does, and that's the thing. And it's like, back in the day, it's like you could have told somebody that. Be like, what, like Little League Baseball, like, "Hey, why is my kid only playing 2 innings in right field?" Like, well, look at your kid. He's out in right field picking freaking daisies. You know what I mean?
He's looking the wrong way.
Right. Like that's why. So
Yeah. It's
yeah.
so funny how you have to like, you're your own PR person like nowadays with kids sports. It's kind of wild. Like, and my generation, I don't know when they introduced participation trophies, but I think it always was a part of my little league sports, and kind of takes away from the whole concept of like putting forth putting forth the hard work to triumph and be at the top, which in the real world, that's the reality. Like, you will get passed up on promotions if you're not the one that's putting in that hard work. Like, well, but I participated, Mr. Boss, Mrs. Boss. Like, where's my promotions? Like, you cost the company a lot of money. What would you didn't do well? Why would we promote you? Like, what do you want? Here's a pizza. You come to the pizza parties that we have. There's your participation trophy.
Yeah. And I mean, on one hand, with little kid sports, like you want them to feel rewarded, whatever. Like that's, but as you get older, it's like, no, there shouldn't be participation trophies. Like I know, we were doing travel baseball a couple of years ago, and it's a Saturday and Sunday deal. We go out, lose 2 games on Saturday, split on Sunday. We lose 3 out of 4 games in a weekend, and you get a trophy
for 8th place.
like for what? Like, you shouldn't even be playing on Sunday. You lose 2 games on Saturday. You shouldn't be even allowed to come back on Sunday.
Yeah,
That's just it's the world we live in. Can't hurt anybody's feelings anymore.
It just doesn't. To Nick's point, it just doesn't drive competition. Like if you're out,
No.
if we did it the right way, where only the team that wins gets a trophy. Like the rest of the teams that don't win, they're gonna like looking at themselves in the mirror, like, damn. Like if I want that trophy, I gotta be better, and I gotta go out there and do the hard work behind the scenes, and then go out there and perform against a better team. But like to the young kids' point of view, like as long as I play 8 games this season, come the end of the season, there will be a trophy on my stand. Like whatever it is, that just doesn't drive. One, it doesn't drive competition, and doesn't drive people internally to get better.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
And I'll say, I like, for all of the participation trophies that I have on my shelf, like, I've never looked at those or thought anything about them as being of value. Like, I was like, and that's just my competitive nature. It's like I wanted, the first place trophy, the biggest trophy, and
Yeah.
everyone to see that our team won or whatever it was. So like, it kind of has me thinking that like the whole participation trophy is driven strictly by the parents to like, yeah, I don't, my kids should be treated special because we treat them special at home when it's just us, but everyone else should see that they're special. And it's like, I don't know if that's the right way to do it. Especially when, you brought it up, there's the competition. There has to be a best at something. And, I get it too. Like feeling rewarded for the efforts that you do put in, or feeling like you've provided value, like, does keep you interested in something. Like if you're just completely getting beat up, whatever it is you're doing, it's kind of demoralizing, and you're like, yeah, maybe baseball isn't for me. And, to an extent, as a young, uh, as a kid, your formative years, you want to feel like you can provide value. But at some point it's got to stop, right? Like what age is that? Is it 10 years old? Is it high school? But, at some point it's got to stop, and you got to realize that like there is a best and worst in the group.
Sean, before you go, because looks like you got something good to say right here. I do think it doesn't matter like what league you're in. Like if you're out there playing just to play, like if you want your kid to be active, that's fine. But like if you're out there competing, like when you want your kid to be successful and your kid wants to be successful, then there's no reason there should be participation trophies.
Absolutely. And I think it kind of stops at a certain age. You kind of figure it out yourself, right? Like, because if you're athletic and you're competitive, right? It's you get to a certain age with 8, 9, 10 years old when you can look around and be like, okay, like I'm good. Like these guys suck. You know what I mean? And it's like I don't want this. I don't want a medal. It's like I want a trophy. It's like I want to win. It's like I'm not just here for the social aspect of it. And that's when it, to me, I think that's when it kind of starts to separate.
Separates.
Like the
Yeah.
kids that are there just like to have fun. It's like, okay, great, we get a trophy at the end of the year. They don't tend to keep going up, competitively versus, the kid that's pissed off. It's like, fuck this third place medal. I don't
Yeah.
want to throw this in the garbage on the way out of here. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want this. Like, I want to win.
Well, that's
Those are
so
the kids that you're going to see later on that are, success, competitively successful, I guess you would say.
right.
Yeah.
More
Get to the next.
more that drive, I guess.
Get to the next level. But that's something
Yeah.
that's so true is like, and I don't know how often I did it, but like if you got third or fourth, whatever, and they gave you a medal at whatever tournament it was, it's like I don't want that. Like that's not what I went to the tournament for. I didn't go there to get third place.
Yeah.
And I think like for me, like growing up, it was a big thing. It probably was a big thing for you, for both of you guys. But you whatever tournament you played in, whatever sport it was, and you say you won it. You like Nick said, you put up that big trophy on your stand, and like you decorate your room proudly with them. And so I know I had my little desk thing that had like a big cabinet just full of all the ones that I had gotten. And you'd go over to a friend's house and you'd see, if they had more or less than you, and like that was kind of a driving factor. It's like, damn, like he's out here fucking winning games, and I'm not doing bad, but he's beating my ass. And like it makes you want to go and win more. Like you always compare like the trophy cases, like who's were better than others, and some people put up every trophy, right? But I was like, nah, like I'm putting the first, and maybe if it's a big tournament, some second place trophies up there. Other than that, it don't matter if I got 8th place in a freaking 64 team tournament. No one cares about that. They want to know who won that tournament.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
always, like I can remember we had a first place trophy here and there for baseball or something. It was like this big, and you always got the little tiny glove trophy that was this big. Never saw a glove trophy. It's the first place trophy be up.
But that, yeah,
But,
Yep. Yeah, it's a lesson in humility too. Getting those participation trophies. Yeah, I could see the value in that. Because you said it too. You toss that shit in the trash. Like I can remember one time where I actually did that,
yeah,
and like I was, and you all have that same grit, and you're disappointed at the end of the, and like I was, I have a little bit of an attitude back in the day when it came to sports, and
just a bit.
yeah, and so I remember a lesson I did that. My parents saw that, and they're like, "Don't you ever do that? Like you be proud of what you did. That they threw this together for you. They gave you this, and so like, I guess I could see the lesson to be learned in seeing that you didn't quite win. You didn't deserve that big trophy. So it's kind of put that chip on your shoulder and come back and win it next time.
Well, yeah, and I mean that's a good life lesson because
Yeah.
more often than not, you're probably not going to get the big trophy. That's just the
Yeah.
law of averages, unless you're exceptional at something.
Yep.
it's true.
Yeah. We've said it a few times on this podcast, learn your roles. Yeah. And bringing it back to basketball from early on, like you said, you used all your 5 fouls strategically. You were down, in the paint throwing elbows. It's like what you did is you created chaos down there that prevented the rest of the guys, the other team, from driving in the paint there. Be like, oh, I'm going to catch an elbow to the face. Maybe let me like step back a second, and like it creates that indecision that the rest of your team can capitalize on. And but you were the defense guy, right? Or you were the hard nosed guy that scared them. But it's like learn your roles, right? You're not the most nimble, agile that can just like what we now know as the Euro step and just like bring a layup or whatever. But yeah, you were the rebounder, the defense, the what do you call it? Like what's the like
The slow white guy is what I was.
Slow white guy.
Yeah. But I'm talking about like what is it, like the intangibles or something like that, right?
Yeah,
Like
something like that. Well, I would do the stuff it's not pretty.
But
Yeah.
no one wanted
Like I
to
remember
hit.
one of my buddies, like he was freaking 6'7", like 260 pounds. All he wanted to do was stand on a 3-point line and shoot. Like you could get every rebound in the freaking game, but you're standing out there.
Yeah, biggest dude out
He
here.
didn't want to throw elbows. He didn't want to get hit.
He's soft.
I always thought so. But then he went on to play in the NFL. So
Oh,
Couldn't have been too soft.
Yeah, I was going to say, he must have toughened up in college or something. Because I used to
Figured
whoop
it
his
out.
ass in high school. In the basketball court, anyway.
Maybe you're
Good
the
for
reason
him.
why. Maybe you instilled some fight in him.
I doubt it. But
Yeah. Nice. All right, let's start wrapping up here. I really, I want to keep talking, but obviously, out of respect for your time, let's start closing up, and maybe we'll do a part 2,
yeah, I
episode
appreciate
40.
that, man. I appreciate y'all having me on. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. But our final segment, we got some really good questions. Ryan always comes up with a fun one, so Ryan's gonna hit you with it, and then we'll do our final segment.
okay.
Yeah, this one,
Yeah.
like you said, I come up with a fun one, kind of detailed to detailed to our guests. I struggled with this one just because like I'm trying to go like kind of family ties and whatnot, but I guess like if you could go back to one like it doesn't be called a reunion, but like one family gathering, or like I guess like a one memory you have where all the family was together that you just like really enjoyed being around, or like a super fun time. Like, what's your all time family reunion?
Well, that one's kind of tough because we've never, done that much. But one that sticks out in my mind that I laugh about every time I think about is obviously neither one of you were around. I wasn't, but shit, I was probably 10 or 11 years old. It was actually the first time your mom came around. It was the first time your dad brought your mom down to meet the family. And I remember loving your mom instantly. But anyway, I remember that weekend we were down in Delray Beach. We all went to stay at this hotel in Delray Beach. And I don't remember if Gigi Babs was there or not. Probably not, because I know Grandpa was there. So I remember
Yeah.
me and him playing tennis. Like, I think that was the last time I actually played tennis because he was trying to explain to me the score, and it didn't make sense then. It still don't make sense now. You have to score 5 times to get 1 point in tennis, but that's a totally different topic. But anyway, I remember 2 things from it. I remember that's when the movie Goodfellas came out, and I was obviously older than my brother, so I got to stay up and watch it. And then I remember they were all hanging out on the balcony, and it was my dad, both of your dads, and Grandpa. And they had been, they had been drinking. It's whatever. We were at this hotel all day anyway, and there's people walking by on the street. So I think it was actually Nelson starts fucking with this dude down on the street, yelling at him. Dude gets all pissed off, like, he's like, "I'm coming up there." He's like, "I'm coming up there and kicking everybody's ass and this and that." Like, and I'm getting scared. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'd never seen your dad hardly even get mad. Now he's about to fight some dude. I'm like, "What's going on? What's going on?" Like, I could just remember my dad telling me, just like, "Relax, dude. It's fine." It's like, that dude ain't climbing 7 floors up the building, and if he did, it'd be a bad day for him.
Yeah.
Because I forget, all I can remember your dad just yelling off the balcony, like calling the guy Adrian, like, "Yo, Adrian!" Like, doing the Rocky thing. And like, I remember this dude being so mad. Like,
What for?
yeah, he's like, "What floor?" He's like, "Can't you count?" He's like, trying to count. But yeah, that's one of my favorite ones. Reynolds was a good one when we took Nash up there and he was a baby. Alexis' wedding was a lot of fun.
I always remember the Florida Keys. I was pretty young,
I
but
didn't go to that one, I don't think.
okay. So I don't know who all was there even. I know like Aunt Katie was there. I remember like being with her a bunch. But yeah, Florida Keys was one of the better ones I remember of like all the family being together. I guess not you.
Yeah, I can remember one we did here in New Smyrna where we rented a house, not too far down the beach from where we live now, and we did like a clam bake, like actual, like you dug the pit. Like I remember me and Nelson, like we dug the pit, like we put all the stuff in there, we baked all the seafood all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, there's a picture of me somewhere, me, your dad, and Crazy Pop Pop, just hammered, drinking beers all day. And I remember I got the biggest gnarly white lines from having my sunglasses on all day. I had the gnarliest raccoon lines. Like that was a good one too. I don't remember
Yeah.
why we did that.
I do remember we used to do a few trips to New Smyrna or Daytona Beach. It was kind of like it was the attempt to do a somewhat of like a family reunion or whatever. And I think that might have been like when Alexis and Davis were babies, so Ryan might not have been around at that point.
Yeah, I don't remember if y'all were here for that one or not.
I missed out on a lot.
Yeah.
I do know that.
Yeah, but yeah, I gotta say, yeah, Alexis's wedding, that get together was definitely one of the highlights last year.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, that was a lot
definitely
of fun. That
a
was
good time. We were finally all of age.
Yeah.
Me being the youngest of the cousins of the generation, finally able to hang out with the big dogs.
Yeah. But we'll
Yeah,
see. Might be another one or two coming up. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yep.
Here soon.
It's always celebrations to be had, so we can look forward to that.
Yeah.
But that was a good question. Obviously, brings back some great memories, and it's good to think on those things and reflect and remember those times. But we'll jump into the final questions here. So these are the same questions we ask every guest every episode, and obviously want to know what your answers are. So we'll start off with, what's your favorite book, either fiction or nonfiction, favorite song, and favorite movie?
Movie, I'm still going Top Gun. Always been. People try to say the second one was better. Really good, but still can't beat the first. I mean, there was a time in my life, I don't know if I could do it now, but I actually sat down and watched Top Gun start to finish in Spanish and knew every single word and couldn't speak
Oh.
a lick of Spanish.
Yeah.
How many times I had seen that movie. Like I could recite it word by word by word through the whole movie.
That's so funny. That probably was when you had to fix the rabbit ears and turn the dial, and it got stuck
No,
on the Spanish
I had
channel.
it on. I actually I had that on VHS
Oh,
for a long time. Yeah.
that was your attempt at learning Spanish.
I probably should have just kept doing that, and it probably would have worked out.
Yeah.
I mean, I could speak a little bit. I can speak enough to get around when I go somewhere, but I'm not fluent by any means.
Yeah.
But yeah, favorite movie, definitely Top Gun. What was the other one? Favorite song?
Favorite song.
Oh shit! Oh, man. That's a tough one. I got to think about that one for a second. What's the other one?
Favorite book, fiction or
Favorite
nonfiction?
book? The favorite book would be called "A Land Remembered." It's a book about old Florida.
Old Florida, huh?
Yeah, it goes from Civil War times up until probably 1960s, 1970s. Follows an old cracker family. Came down in a ox-drawn cart. And when caught wild cows out of the swamps, drove them across the state. They would go catch. Because back in the day, the cows that made their way into Florida, they were all wild, like wild animals. Like it's not like a cow you go pet it on the head, like the thing would kill you. So what they did is
Yeah.
they would, in this book, and it was how basically how Florida's built. Florida's built on cattle and citrus. So they would go catch these cows until they had enough of them to form a decent herd, and then they would drive them across the state, and they would just follow them all summer long, just let them graze along the way and eat. And, they take them over to the west coast of Florida and sell them. And that's how this family started. They were dirt poor, and they go from just the evolution of them being dirt poor, barely being able to eat, until like this freaking, by the end of it, it's this giant empire. But it started with cows and oranges, and if you go back far enough, most families in Florida, that there's money and there's generational money, there's going to be cows and oranges involved somewhere. And it's just a great book, and I met the guy who wrote it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
That is
yeah.
awesome.
Definitely recommended. Like it's something special for me because I've lived in Florida my whole life. But it's just an all around really good book.
Yeah. I'll have to read that one. I've never heard of it, and
Yeah.
obviously, I'm spent most of my life in Florida, so I would consider myself a Floridian, and it'd be
Absolutely.
neat to learn that heritage there. And we pick up what we learn in school, mainly like when the Spanish conquered Florida or whatever, and a little bit of the Native Americans there, but to think about obviously the you start to populate it with other forms of society. Would want to learn about that. But what's interesting is, yeah, I and that makes sense too. That the old money of Florida come from cattle farmers and citrus farmers, like in Brevard County there. One of the prominent property owners. It was called like their last name was like Duda or something, and like you had Duda Farms,
Oh yeah, dude,
and
it's huge.
yeah, and that family started to sell off all that property recently when, by the time I started, moved away, like, and you go back and you just see all this new development in that area, and you're like, oh, dude, sold another little bit of acreage. There goes another little bit. And they put a movie theater now. They got a shopping plaza. And
Yeah, I drive through there now. Like I can remember when that whole area was cow, was all
Yep.
still cow pasture, and like even where my mom and them lived, where we grew up, like where everything was orange groves. There ain't hardly a damn orange tree left out there. And honestly, it makes me sad.
Yeah,
All in the
a
name
land.
of
It's a land remembered.
well, can't stop progress, I guess.
Yeah. Now I have those citrus farms indoors. Grown. What's it called? Like robotically grown or something like that, or I don't know.
Hydroponically.
Hydroponic. Yeah.
Yeah. I think actually most of it comes from California now.
Yep. Yeah, the navel oranges and all that. Yeah.
So,
All right, we gave you some time to think about your favorite song. I don't know if this will help you, but one thing I remember making fun of you back in the day because you gave me a ride home from school or something. You were in the area, picked me up. My mom probably asked you or whatever, and you put on a Jay-Z CD, and I was like, "You're into Jay-Z? Who do you think you are?" Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's one thing about music, man. It's hard to pick a favorite song because I've always liked so many different kinds of music. And even my phone now, if we put my phone on random shuffle, it'd be Jay Z, it'd be Johnny Cash, it'd be screaming punk rock. Like who knows what would show up. So that one's a hard one. I'd have to say, I definitely have to be a country song. Honestly, if I could pick one, shoot, I'd probably have to say "Country Boy Can't Survive." Hank Williams. That's hard
Classic.
to
There it is. Good shit.
beat. Yeah.
Those are tough questions. I mean, there's any of those three. I mean, there's so many songs out there, and if you truly like music, then how do you narrow it down to even a single genre? And movies, like there's just so many different genres of movies, and I like reading. So
the movie and the book, those are easy ones. Like I really don't have to think about those. The song, it's like that one could be hard. It's like what's your favorite song this week? Like what's your favorite song you've heard today?
Good point.
And like, anyway.
Yeah, today's different from yesterday. So.
Yeah, depends on your mood. How a song hits you.
Yeah, for sure. And then this is kind of the second to last question that we ask. Is there anything that, I guess, one thing or anything that people might not know about you that they should or could know about you that they don't?
There's a lot of things people don't know about me, but it's probably a good reason for that too.
By design.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't like to show all the cards. I don't like to show any of them, to tell you the truth.
You gotta show us one.
One thing that people don't know about me
that they should or that you wish they could know.
I'm a phenomenal dancer.
Is that so?
At least in my mind.
That's all that matters.
I might not be able to bust the leg slide like Nick, but I got skills.
That's what I was gonna say. You barely even hit the dance floor at Alexa's wedding.
Oh, and I used to have really good hair. I used to have like long blonde hair, like all the little 13-year-old girls used to love.
Yeah.
So most people wouldn't believe that now.
That surfer hair.
Mm-hmm. So there's two.
There you go, man.
Good answers.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say Davis could probably outdance you, but that's just because he's practiced at it, and you didn't show off your dance moves at all. So
Like I said, man, I was letting you have your moment. You know,
that's so kind of you.
I didn't want to step in your shine.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was really Alexis and Kyle shine, so I overstepped. I shouldn't have shown off like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for giving.
Yeah, appreciate it. Uh, but anyway, we'll get to the last question. And curious, do you have any social handles? And if so, where can people find you?
Do you mean like social media?
Yeah. What's your Instagram? You got an Instagram?
He's got an
Yeah,
Instagram.
I do. It's the same as my email, just without the Gmail.
SMCB eight eight
8808. Yeah, I think
eighty.
that's it. But if you
Uh
don't try to get a hold of me on social email because you won't get a response.
huh.
I just look at pictures. I don't do all that other shit.
Yeah, you're just a lurker.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm just one of the weirdos that just looks at other people's pictures, and I only know about half the people that I follow anyway.
You still
Yeah.
haven't accepted my follow request. I'm still sitting here
Well, see,
pending.
there you go. Like I don't even
That's-
look at that stuff. Like, all right,
Wow.
I'll do it when we're done if it'll make you feel better.
I guess so.
Do it for the gram.
Okay.
Yeah, but like I said, I want to keep talking and learn more about the things we don't know, and I mean I guess we'll just have to do that at Labor Day for our next family vacation. And,
Will you be there, Sean?
I don't know. 4th of July wasn't going to work because we had already made plans before any of this even came about. So, yeah, Labor Day, I don't know.
Alexis's child will be there.
Yeah, I know. So, but I am planning on coming to Texas next year.
Oh, are you?
I'm coming to a game. Like I was so bummed when I missed that game.
Yeah.
You missed a hell of a night. We had a good time.
Like yeah. I mean, I'm sure it would have been a great time, but it's just that game in particular. Once I found out what was going on at that game, I said, "You kidding?" Like Jimmy Johnson's the reason I'd like the Dallas Cowboys. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah. He had the halftime
I meant to
ceremony.
ask you about that. You obviously followed him, and
yeah, that's
to the boys.
that's one of the few things me and my dad ever agreed on. Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys. There you go.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's
heck
the
yeah.
thing. That's how I'm a Cowboys fan until now. It's because of him, because of the Miami guys, because of that whole connection.
Yeah. It was the right move. It was definitely a good move to follow them along, especially being a Hurricanes fan. So,
Yeah. But anyway, to that point, I want to come to Texas next year, whether you're still working for the boys or not. I still want to come out and see a game.
Yeah, for sure. Come on out. If I'm not
Yeah.
working for him, I'll go with you 100%.
Yeah.
you got an invite up here as well. We'll go to a Giants game. I know that Crazy Pop Up was a G-Man fan, so
Yeah, we definitely will.
so maybe we'll do the three of us. We'll hit a Giants game and Giants boys if possible, and it'll be or maybe Giants Eagles or Giants Rams.
Who knows? We'll see.
Funny
We'll
memory
see,
of Pop Up. He actually went to the game, the opening game at the Dallas Cowboys, the AT&T Stadium that they play in now. Back in like 08, 09, whatever it was. When it first opened, it was Giants Cowboys. And my dad got tickets and took Pop Up to that game. I think that was probably the last game that Pop Up ever made it out to. But yeah, he was there for the opener. Giants won that game, I'm pretty sure.
Well, that's a cool one to be there for the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was obviously back when AT&T, what is it, AT&T Park?
AT&T Stadium. Yeah.
AT&T Stadium. Yeah, that back when that was the state of the art. It's still obviously amazing, but nothing was even dreamed of like it at that time.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's state of the art. Some of those other stadiums have like passed it as far as like state of the art, but as far as sheer just freaking amazingness and just like overwhelming, like that place is hard to explain if you haven't been there.
Yeah.
Pretty cool atmosphere for sure.
Yeah. But awesome. This has been a lot of fun, and glad you made some time to get on the mic with us today, and hopefully we get to see you soon.
Yeah, appreciate y'all having me on. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, man. Love seeing you, dude.
All right. Well, my boys have a good St. Patty's.
You too, man. Be safe out there.
All right, we'll talk to y'all soon.
See ya.
Later.